Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to Sixers Post Game Live. You are hanging out with the Painted Lines, guys. If you love the Sixers, give this video a like, smash that subscribe button. The Sixers get the L here, 88-87. We're breaking down our impressions, our player of the games, and our grades for tonight. Let's get started over there. My man, he is Justin. Follow him on Twitter at J_Persichetti. What's going on, Justin?
What's going on is I am cold, so I have a blanket. And also, this game was absolutely terrible.
We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, a lot to talk about.
Yep. Then we've got the man, the myth, the legend. He is my man, Tiago at T Scabia. What's good, Tiago?
Basketball was played tonight, man. I don't know if what we watched was anything close to how basketball was played last night between the Suns and the Warriors, but the Sixers and the Celtics did something tonight, which was god awful to watch, man.
This Sixers Celtics game set the NBA back like legitly like 50 years. That's how bad it was. Awful. And we've got a special guest. He is my man Roger, super fan. He is a Celtics fan to drop it like it's hot. It didn't bring us everything up to date on the Boston Celtics. What's on, Roger?
What's good, y'all? Pleasure to be here. Finally, y'all. Nice to see y'all faces for the first time. You know, this is like a step in this progress, man. This is like history in the making, man. After first with Tiago, but this is it, bro. This is it. The bridge has been built.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, let's not go that far. We have to hear what you have to say about Jason Tatum's play tonight before we say a bridge has been made between the Celtics and Sixers.
Yeah. Let's jump right into first impressions. I'll lead off. Obviously, you have to talk about this lack of Sixers offense. You've got two ISO guys that have regressed significantly this season in Joel and Tobias. Tyrese Maxey was brilliant last month in November. You can see he's clearly struggling to find a role next to Joel and Tobias, having them back. You've got Maxey, who is this emerging pick and roll player, surrounded by maybe the worst trio in the league at rolling to the basket, and Tobias and Drummond and Embiid. You've got Joel Embiid not getting it done on the perimeter or inside the paint. You have Thibault's guy doubling Embiid off ball every single freaking time, and it is just getting unbearable to watch to this point. This Sixers offense has been god-awful. I remember just a few days ago in October, the Sixers were legit the number one offensive team in the NBA, number one in true shooting percentage. Thank you, Seth Curry. But outside of Shake Milton, this was an absolutely pathetic performance from the Philadelphia 76ers. This offense, I don't know what we're doing here, guys. It's just heavy ISO. The shot selection is god awful. You saw Danny Green there with a bomb, and he somehow miraculously made that shot. But then you go back to that last possession, and that tells you everything you need to know. And it's something that I know on these post-game shows we have been talking about again and again and again. We've been calling it out, and it reared its ugly head yet again here. I'm going to throw it to Justin. Justin, what's your impression?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you touched on it. The end of the game possessions just aren't sustainable and efficient whatsoever, it seems like, and they haven't been for a while. Something that I did notice today that was something that was kind of a good sign, which is part of why I thought we maybe had a chance to win this game, was our turnovers weren't that bad. The Sixers did not turn over the ball too much, only 7 on the game, and they didn't get out-rebounded. And in the past, typically when they are losing games, it's because they're getting out-rebounded on the offensive boards and because they're turning the ball over. And that just didn't happen today. Today, they just could not make a single shot inside the paint at all. Like or outside. They shot 25.8% from 3 and 37% from the field. I don't think I've seen the Sixers shoot that bad all together as a team. Like I don't even remember. I genuinely don't remember the last time the Sixers shot that bad in a game.
It was so bad the Nets fell off in Boston tonight. That actually happened. Yeah,
I think the Nets fell off in Boston. If you didn't notice, they fell off where Jason Tatum was shooting. So I'm thinking it might have been from all of the shots. It was just the net was crying and falling apart from the kinds of shots it was seeing.
Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris tonight were combined 7 of 28 from the floor in this game. 7 of 28. Tiago, you're up, and then we'll throw it to Roger.
I mean, there's so much to unpack here. Embiid and Harris are clearly struggling. There's no question about it. Their shot's not there. It could be a function of a lot of things. Joel was flexing his thumb a little bit. It could be an injury. They're both coming back from COVID. That could be at play.
It's got to be.
Fact of the matter is, you as a coaching staff have to enable easier buckets for your star players if they're struggling. So as you said earlier in the podcast, Chris, it's a lot of isolation concepts, facing the basket 10, 15 feet away and asking your best players when they're struggling to settle or try to create off very little space. And that makes it extremely hard for players to operate in that scheme when they're struggling. One of the things that I tweeted during the game is you see very little scheme variation with Doc Rivers, where you see these players who are struggling getting easier looks at the rim, right? So, for instance, can you cut Tobias off the baseline instead of him giving him the ball and having to orchestrate offense? And now he's seeing the ball in the rim through a layup or a dunk, and maybe you can kind of get him going that way. You don't have easy Duckins, high-low passes to Joel anymore because Ben Simmons is not on the roster. So a lot of the easier buckets that have been happening in the past are no longer happening. And you're asking way too much from your star players who are struggling. And I thought that, for Tobias Harris to have Robert Williams defend him and still not take three-pointers when Robert Williams is clearly hedging towards the rim. He's not even defending Tobias in certain possessions. And Tobias still gets the ball at the top of the key, takes 2-3 dribbles and attacks the lane. That is absurd. It's simply absurd. Even if you're struggling, you have to settle for that open three. That's the way that Boston designed their defense to stop Embiid, and you have to counter off that. So, there's a lot to unpack, but overall, it was a horrendous offensive performance by the Sixers. Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, Justin.
Can we be honest off the bat and say Boston's defense didn't stop Embiid? Embiid stopped Embiid tonight? Can we just be honest off the bat and say, genuinely, Embiid just missed how, first of all, he took a lot of tough shots.
I think it's a product of the offense, bro. I don't know about that.
Well, I'm not saying that. Okay, I should amend this by saying I'm not saying that he was taking the best shots, but I'm saying he did miss a lot of them, and he's taking a lot of hard mid-range shots. I don't know if that's a product of injury, a product of the defense that they're putting out there, a product of Doc Rivers' offensive scheme, but whatever it is, it's just not working this year for Joel. Last year, it worked like a charm, and maybe that's why it's in the offense this year, because he was shooting 50% from the mid-range last year. So I don't know, but it's not working.
Yeah, it's down to 44%. It was down to 44% in November from pull-ups. It's just not happening. ISO ball for Joel Embiid in the month of November was 0.98 points per possession, 66 percentile. It's just not happening. It's just not happening right now. I'm gonna go to some quick comments. Anthony says, talk about how useless Tobias Harris is. We've got some comments here, like my man RJ saying this team is done. Quentin is saying, the window is closed on this team. Coyle, my man, says hot garbage. What offense is this team running? So obviously, Roger, you see the shit has hit the fan in Philadelphia. This is some bad basketball that we've seen. This is kind of like this is what we've seen from Doc Rivers, especially since the playoffs. This late game lack of execution, but the ball movement, the heavy ISO offense has gone up and up with guys that you don't have that aren't getting it done. So, what was your impressions, Roger, with the Celtics and maybe even the Sixers tonight?
Yeah, so I thought the Celtics did a pretty good job. For example, maybe Justin has a differing opinion, but I feel like every time Embiid was in the post, he's catching it a lot farther away from the basket. So they're asking him to be all right, we want you to create more. And then you'll see Jaylen Brown a bit kind of use his arms to not scare him, but flash at him just to threaten the pass, the entry pass there. So I think those two things were really good on our side that hey, this is how we're going to defend them. Then I think the other thing is that in the first couple minutes, you saw Maxey really couldn't get downhill what he is when he's got the layup package and all that because you had Rob Williams. I guess towards the second half, I thought that like some adjustments were made there to make sure like you can get Maxey some driving lanes. So those are like some things. I thought Tatum played pretty freaking bad, but I don't know. I also think one interesting thing is like you're saying Joel Embiid is coming off COVID, but I think like this is like one of the things that we've seen like with athletes is like they're like the stretch after you have COVID is like bad. Like it's like you're gonna get like I don't know, fatigued or like the legs aren't under them. I think the other thing that the Celtics really killed themselves were like the turnovers. Like they couldn't even dribble the ball past half court, and like you guys got like some fast break layups. The other thing that was like kind of interesting is like, to be honest, I didn't expect Georges Niang to put the ball on the floor a lot more. Like I thought, like I didn't expect like this guy to like be like Zioning his way into like.
I mean, they don't have a point guard, man. What do you expect? They don't have a point guard on the roster.
Like he like in Utah, he was just catch and shoot, and like he like that was high school Georges Niang when he was in Massachusetts, bro. He was a big body man, but those are some interesting things. But yeah, the Danny Green heave, like I don't know what the hell was that, but like I was just like, oh shit, here we go again. But overall, I thought like they held the fort down for like getting the stops like when they needed to, and I thought that was really good. I thought like it was not a good move to give the ball to Tobias. He's not like that first step. Like I thought if it was Maxey maybe there, like you would have probably gotten by somebody. But yeah, those were the things. Like I really felt like we won because of our defense, and then some big time. But I thought some Tatum hit some like timely shots that we needed to like extend the lead. So
yeah,
and then like Jalen is like playing on one leg, and I don't know what's going on there. But
can I just make one more point on the offense, because the Sixers have one of the fastest players in the NBA in Tyrese Maxey. And they refuse to inject pace in the offense, right? So you're playing against a very good defensive team in Boston. It's a very well-structured defense. They're missing a ton of shots.
Doc doesn't.
And you refuse to push pace with your best player. I'm sorry, your best player, your fastest player. So, I mean, it's absolutely insane. I mean, rebound, miss, and go, man. You're struggling in the half court, rebound, miss, and go. And constantly the offense gets stalled off misses. It's inconceivable that they cannot throw some sort of change of pace, and they're just stuck in this rut of half-court offense over and over again. I mean, you have to have a counter when your half-court offense is gone to shit, and it does not have anything to push the pace, create some sort of transition opportunity. It's insane, absolutely insane.
And that's one big difference you saw when Ben Simmons was on the roster is he would push the pace up. If he beat Joel Embiid up the court, he was passing out of 3-point shooters or getting to the bucket or getting to the rim, I should say. And if there was nothing available or they closed down the wall once they got down there, Joel Embiid was either penetrating down towards the rim or he was coming in back behind him for that walk down the court three that he likes to take. So it's like that's one thing I definitely agree with. I've noticed that pace in transition has been terrible since Ben hasn't been on the team. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when Ben was on the team, they were one of the best transition teams. Am I correct by that? Especially at least in 3-point shots. I know that for a fact. In 3-point transition shots, they were one of the best in the league. And then Ben's obvious, and it makes sense, but it's definitely concerning.
Check this out. Joel Embiid has nearly double the amount of 3-point shots this season than he does at the rim this season. Just think about that. He's taken nearly double 3-pointers this year than shots at the rim.
But is that a component of Daryl Morey's influence on this roster? Like, and this is, and mind you, listen, that might be a very wide angle version of seeing things. But one thing we have seen at times this year is them focusing on getting to the rim more and shooting threes more at times. Lately, since Joel's came back, that hasn't been as much the case just because of, I guess, where he likes to get his shots off. But I don't know. It's something I've seen.
There's benefits to Joel shooting more threes. I mean, people don't like hearing that, but fact of the matter is that the Sixers are small on the perimeter. And if Joel is shooting off missing post-ups, they're running back the other way, and it's Seth Curry trying to guard like Jaylen Brown in transition, and that's not going to happen. So when Joel shoots a 3-pointer at the top of the key and misses, they're able to keep their defensive integrity in place off misses, on top of the fact that he doesn't have to tire as much because he's not having to run back longer distance off misses in the post. So there is benefits of shooting more threes. Where I'm at with Joel is the fact that you don't see him be as effective taking guys off the drive like he did last year. I mean, last year, if you had Canner with space, he would just finish him at the rim relatively easy. And it's not happening this year. So I think it's a little bit of a function of COVID, injuries, whatever it is, but it doesn't seem as comfortable taking guys off the dribble and getting to the rim and getting fouled. And that's been a constant source of a lack of offense for the Sixers this year.
Yep, absolutely. And we saw that from the jump this season, that he just wasn't getting, call it tired legs or whatever, especially in that fourth quarter, second half. Just not the same player. I'm going to throw it to you, Roger. Floor is yours. What's your general impressions on the Celtics this year, especially Jason Tatum, because there's a lot going on with that guy.
Yeah. I'm going to be a homer. I think our record, we should have a better record, but personally, for him, specifically for Tatum, I've been on the record, on Twitter saying, I think it's the ball. A lot of guys are shooting pretty crazy low, with the ball and with the new Wilson ball and stuff like that. So that's that. And for JT, he's always traditionally started slow. So I definitely think the water will level out with the shooting. I think defensively we're a lot better than last year. I feel like we don't allow points in the paint as much. We reduce the amount of 3-point attempts. We contest a lot, rotate. We're not getting where the second rotation is there, so we don't leave the corners open that much. Ball movement definitely can be improved for sure. I think that's always a topic when you're talking about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Definitely work trying to figure out ways to get those guys easier shots rather than creating everything from isolation.
I mean, they had a couple great sets to start the game, move the ball around, hit
Rob Williams
on a duck in rolling.
Yeah.
But then the offense just stalls, and it's Tatum isolation, Brown isolation.
I think
they're not attacking the rim. They're not attacking the rim. They're just settling.
Well, I feel there's pros and cons for that. The Embiid's in the paint, right? And then Tatum, maybe Tatum can make some reads out of that, on a driving kick, to see make that accurate pass. Jaylen can't do that for his life, and he's playing on one hamstring. But I think in general, the thing that I think now is kind of killing them more is Dennis Schroeder is now trying to turn into Kyrie Irving with these stop turnaround jump shots, and he's just giving them free possessions, man. That's something that Ime is gonna have to really figure hammer that in to get into sets. I don't know why that was another free possession given to Philly. So that's that. I think the Celtics are kind of similar actually to the Sixers, in a weird way, in the sense that there's no creativity, you'll have flashes of minutes of getting actions and sets to get eyes open. I thought Seth Curry did a pretty good job going around screens, getting to sweet spots on the court. And then in the fourth quarter, you're Joel, you're Tatum, you're the best player, here's the ball, go do it all yourself. So those are the things. And I think we'll see how it plays out. To be honest, I feel in the Eastern Conference, I think the Sixers got screwed over by the COVID and stuff like that. So I definitely don't think the Celtics and the Sixers will be this low in the standings. I think there's some point there'll be a surge, but we'll see how it goes so far.
Awesome. Let's go into player of the game. Lead us off, Justin. Who is your player of the game tonight? You're muted, bro.
Sorry, I was pulling up stats, so I didn't want to be loud with my mouse. But my player of the game has got to be Seth Curry for the Sixers. I think Seth really showed why he was traded for a guy on the other side of the court and Josh Richardson. That's got to be one of the best trades in a long time for the Sixers when it comes to value, if I'm not mistaken. Seth Curry tonight, 17 points, 6 assists on 7 of 3 shooting with a steal and shot 2 for 3 from behind the arc. Ended with a -5 and the plus-minus, but his defense he doesn't play defense. Or doesn't play a lot of good defense, I should say. And when you're guarding Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown as a 6-foot-tall dude, it's not going to be easy for you.
Yeah, Seth Curry had some good moments in this game, especially in the third quarter, 7 points. He had a huge moment there coming off a screen, hitting a three that gave the Sixers a 1-point lead that obviously they did not hold. Definitely like that choice. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to go with Shake Milton. I thought that Shake Milton kind of rescued the game early on. I thought he was really good in that first half. He came in under control, got a couple easy buckets in the mid-range, played really good defense on Jason Tatum in isolation. But I thought that his calming presence, which is something we already say about Shake Milton, was very positive. And it was hard contrast with Tyrese Maxey. I thought that Tyrese Maxey had a really poor game on both ends of the court, not only on the shot part, but also attacking the rim. I thought that he did not see the court well. He didn't see Robert Williams flashing towards the rim a lot of times. They kind of settled for that speed layup. We've been talking about that with Tyrese. Like, he's going to start showing more and more on scouting reports, and teams are scouting that speed dribble layup. And he's got to develop a counter to that.
I think he already has a counter to that. I think it's his floater. I just don't think he goes to it enough at times.
It could be, but he did not even look at a floater tonight. Everything was at the rim, and he missed a ton of stuff. So defensive late in games, he got absolutely torn to pieces by Dennis Schroeder. So, I mean, this is the learning curve with Tyrese Maxey. We want him to play, make these mistakes, but you got to start seeing progression. Like, that's something that we talked about. So, as the season progresses, have better closeouts, have better approaches offensively. And I thought that Shake Milton did both of those things tonight for the Sixers. So big ups to him.
I want to give some big ups to Tiago real quick because he's been calling this out. Shake Milton is a shooting guard. If Shake Milton, all he has to do is look to score, and you see that a lot. If all he has to do is look to score and not be like the head of the offense, he is a valuable player in your bench unit. And I think that showed a lot today. He was not looking to pass.
Not at all.
He was shooting fadeaways. He was driving to the rim, getting to the line. Like he was doing what he needed to do to get some buckets. And that's what I think his upside is in the NBA. And I know Tiago's been saying that for a while. So big ups.
Yeah, going back to Tyrese Maxey, last 4 games, 31.3% from the field. The good news, 6.8 free throw attempts per game, which is not bad. All right, what about you, Roger? Who is your player of the game tonight? Doesn't have to be a Sixer. You can go Boston.
I mean, I'll give it to Doc Rivers for like that great ATO. That was a great, beautiful ATO. Celtics legend right there. We love 08. We love it 08. But I'll probably give it to Rob Williams. I thought like he set the tone early, with those easy putbacks. And then I think like it's just his rim presence really like took a lot of like downhill action away from like Tyrese Maxey and like those guys. But I think like Rob Will and then Horford, like kind of like co-players of the game. Like I think them and Horford, like really like when we needed to get the stops, they were there.
Yeah, I'll go, especially in that first half when the shit was hitting the fan, especially all starters negative on the court right there in the first half, Sixer starters. I'll go Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond had some solid minutes tonight. He had 4 points, but 9 boards, 3 offensive rebounds, 2 blocks. I thought he gave some quality minutes for the Sixers tonight. Sixers had 10 more field goal attempts than Boston tonight.
Then this is why I said in the beginning when we first got on here, this doesn't make sense for the Sixers to lose this game, being that they had less turnovers and they out-rebounded this team. It just doesn't make much sense. And one thing I wanted to say about your chick picking Andre Drummond, Chris, is that his game honestly went past the stat sheet in a lot of ways because Joel only played 33 minutes this game. And like in every minute that Joel was off the court, they had Andre Drummond in there, and he was a big reason why they were able to stay in this game. That with the defensive energy he had, not only on being strong and boxing out and getting boards, but also if you guys notice when showing really strong on screens. That's something him and Georges Niang have been both really good at this year, showing strong on screens and letting our crappy perimeter defense get back to their spot.
That's a good point, Justin. I'll say the offensive rebound is probably their best offensive play. Which is not a good sign.
And they don't do that very often.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to win a championship, that is not sustainable, I'll tell you
that. All right. Let's grade tonight's performance. This is an F. This is an NA. for me. I was literally watching this game, like just rubbing my head. I had a headache. I was doing chores around my house. I was cleaning shit up. I was doing the dishes. It was unbelievably hard to watch for me. This was a real struggle. This was like watching the 2020 Eagles, like run the damn ball, Doug, like things like that.
This felt like a 2000s game, man. Like with like the Memphis Grizzlies and like some like I don't know, like the Indiana Pacers or something like that, man. Like
Pistons and Pacers type game.
Yeah, like this was just bad, bro. Like like ugly basketball in general. Like after like watching like the Suns and like the Warriors, like there's a reason why this wasn't like on TNT, like because it's usually on TNT or ESPN, like Sixers Celtics.
Remember like a few years ago when Boston and the Sixers were like a Christmas Day game, like great basketball to watch.
That was some good basketball, man.
Like I said,
actually, I usually feel like Sixers Celtics teams are like not like this sloppy in general. I don't know, like maybe I'm off.
This definitely had the feel of that like 2018 playoff vibe. Like there was like grinded out, like just brutal to watch basketball game where the Sixers are always like down 5 or 10 points and they never can get that momentum swing.
And let's also think like in past games, usually like I think I have to wait. In past games, the Celtics and the Sixers have both had like all-star level point guard play. I think like typically you guys had Kemba or Kyrie, and the Sixers had Ben Simmons. So it was typically there was some better point guard play that was capable of happening.
Yeah.
We got to fire Doc Rivers, man.
Hey, man. I don't know how Daryl Morey looks at this objectively.
No, you can't.
It's okay. I mean,
just like crashing and burning, Tiago.
No, this is not good, man. Like, and we said this at the end of the postseason last year. It wasn't good then. And you think that you can take Ben Simmons out of the team and things are going to get better and coaching is going to improve, like that is not a real thing. Coaching is coaching. And the Sixers, when you watch teams like Phoenix, Golden State, like it is not even the same sport that we're watching.
Yeah, but that's also not even the same roster whatsoever. I think I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But Justin, let me just finish this point.
Like,
Phoenix is a heavy pick and roll offense as well.
Yeah.
So are the Sixers. And you watch them run pick and roll. Granted, they have Chris Paul, the Sixers don't. That plays a factor, but there's a lot more motion, there's a lot more movement, and it's not just basic, pick and roll we see from the Sixers.
Clear out.
Is there still a valid excuse to be able to say after the amount of years that Joel Embiid's been playing basketball, like in professionally, that they should be able to run a pick and roll with him? Because I feel like it's
never been his game though. He's never been like a rim runner. He's like a pick and pop.
He's never been a rim runner at all because he just doesn't play like that. That's not. That's not what he is. It's and that's what
is on him though.
And I agree. But that's what I'm saying. Is this less of a proponent on Doc Rivers as is on some of the maybe what's the restrictions that are being put on him based on what his roster is good at exactly? Like obviously he's trying to play to certain players' strengths, I think. Although I don't understand the Tobias at this point, but like Joel Embiid, I think he's trying to play to what Joel wants to do. And so it's like if Joel wants to shoot a bunch of mid-range shots, he's like, all right, you're the star player, you're the guy of this ownership. They're gonna let you do what you want to do. So it's like, is that on Doc Rivers or is that on the mindset of what they're trying to get Joel to be?
Well, I think they need to make a change because, I mean, Tobias was the rock, especially in that mid-range. ISO, he was just money, within 10, 15 feet.
Yeah,
all regular season long last year. Same for Joel. He was just absolutely money. That has not carried over at all, but something has to change here. Like, we're seeing the same thing again and again, especially in the fourth quarters with this Sixers team. Yeah. So we have a comment here: fire Doc Rivers, but for who? I don't know, man. I need to get better.
Sam, not gonna fire him. He's go for 3 more years. He's gonna probably come back next year as well. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to revamp your offensive scheme, but like we said earlier in the podcast, play with more pace. That should not take like a complete revamping of your roster. And yes, you have a slower roster in general, but the Sixers have played with pace with Embiid on the court in the past, and they have.
You should at least be able to run the court with a Maxey and Tobias Harris or a Maxi and Matisse Thybulle type of lineup, you should be able to run the court and like get some athleticism towards the rim.
Yep.
Even if you have a Tobias Harris or Danny Green, Seth Curry hanging back towards the 3-point line, at least 2 guys should be able to go rim run on a rebound.
Yeah, totally. All right, real quick, Justin, how would you grade tonight's performance? Is Chip Kelly available? I love it.
Dude, it was just such a bad game all around. Not even just on the Sixers point, but just the game in general. I'm gonna go like D. It was bad. Like, it's not good. Not good. Seth Curry is the only reason why this isn't an F.
I give you props for not giving them an F there because, I mean, just going back to what we were just saying, you look at points off turnovers. Sixers were among the top in the league last year in points off turnovers. Do you think they missed Ben a little bit? You know, deflecting passes on that perimeter, creating defense to offense a little bit, just a tad.
They miss him through like the screen navigation, like fighting through the screens because like he was relentless at that. Like,
yeah, I mean, you can give a list of 10 things of why they would miss Ben Simmons right now. I mean, at least 10 things. It is what it is. F for me, and if they think they can play like that for the next week, they're going to be 5 games in the 500. Just simple as that.
No question.
They got a tough schedule coming up. They're going to get beat every single game if they play like this.
There's no efficiency. It doesn't matter who they're going to play. Like, there's no cohesion in this offense. Roger, who is your player? Or how would you grade today's performance?
For the C's, because like they didn't like play offensively well, I'd probably give them like a B-, B like range.
Okay.
We got a one-way side performance, like defensively really solid. I'll give them that though.
All right, let's wrap this show up. I'm going to throw it right back to you, Roger. Where can we find you, man? Thank you so much for joining, giving us insight to those dreadful Boston Celtics. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
My pleasure. You can get me at Boss Superfan on Twitter. Usually be debating with Tiago in the replies.
In the Tatum sweepstakes right now, swinging my way a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Yep.
But he's a good guy, man. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, man. You are awesome. Thank you again. All right, Tiago, what do you got going on, bro?
Hey, man, we'll just keep doing this as much as we can. We did the morning cup with Joe in the morning. I don't know if tomorrow Chris is going to.
No, I'm out, man.
He's out.
No.
Yeah.
Literally no one's going to watch.
There's nothing to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. I can run the last 5 minutes of the game.
No, it's like making me rewatch the Jalen Hurts tape. It ain't happening, Tiago. It ain't happening.
Yeah, running Philly sports right now.
I love it.
Justin, you're up. Man.
I love it. Yeah, you guys can go find me on Twitter, where I'm typically tweeting about Sixers and Bluecoats mostly. But it's definitely been Bluecoats geared a lot more lately. The Bluecoats have a game coming up, I believe, this Saturday at home, I think. Yeah, this Saturday at home. They're playing the Long Island Nets. So Cam Thomas, the guy that was drafted right before Jaden Springer this year, will be there. Jaden Springer will be down there, and it looks like Paul Reed, who has been assigned down to the Bluecoats, will be there as well. So expect lots of tweets and trying to get some videos and pictures out to you guys on Twitter as well while I'm down there in person, all right? So go follow me on Twitter for that.
Awesome stuff. Guys, thank you everybody for watching. Please share the love, give this video a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Follow my man Justin on Twitter at J_Persicati. He is Tiago at Tscabia. Roger, what's your Twitter handle one more time?
Boss Superfan. Boston Superfan.
Awesome. Thank you everyone. For Justin, for Tiago, for my man Roger. Stay awesome, everyone.